Hello, I'm Narendra, and today I'm going to do a follow-up video on the subject of Sabarimala. I have been asked a few questions about it, and I'll try to address them in this video. I was asked that what was the mythological significance, even if there was a mythology? Why should we pay so much attention to that? In my previous video, I had told you about the birth of Ayyappa Swami and the mythological story behind it. The point is, mythology is not irrelevant to our lives. We are talking about human beings and about their behavior. The lesson is even if a tapasvi and a mahayogi like Shiva can fall, then the lesson is sexual temptation is a very difficult barrier to cross for human beings. And that is why we have, all those stories of rishis and apsaras. Whenever the rishis are becoming powerful through the power of the tapas, Indra usually sends those heavenly beauties to bring them down, using their sexual desire as a weapon against themselves. So, the sexual desire, the inability to conquer sex, is one of the biggest barriers in the path of sadhana. That is a lesson that this mythology is giving. Power, wealth, and sex. These are the three things that hold us down forever in our lives. We can never rise to spiritual heights if these three are tying us down. That is one part. Then, as far as Ayyappa Swami is concerned, you see, I told you that it's my understanding that Ayyappa Swami is basically atoning for the failure of his father. And the lesson is that there is such a discipline as Naishtika Brahmacharya, which is so difficult and so hard that you cannot lie down on the floor in your entire life. You have to, even if you're sleeping, you have to sit, you have to sleep in a sitting posture. So that kind of a discipline and strict celibacy, absolute strict celibacy. So the lesson is even this kind of a discipline is possible. If there is an instance where a Mahayogi like Shiva can fall, there is also an instance of Ayyappa Swami doing a strict and severe penance to compensate for the failure of his father. That is one of the lessons. Basically, these mythological stories are talking about us. Just as we are capable of falling down, we are also capable of that kind of a discipline and that kind of a rigidity of resolve. That is also possible. So that is the that are the two great lessons of that mythology. Okay, that is one part of it. Now, you know that there was that Supreme Court case and these whole lot of feminist organizations and women activists, they had gone to Supreme Court and they acquired the Supreme Court order and they insisted on their right to visit the shrine of Ayyappa Swami. Now, you see, I would request you to see my video on the production. The very idea of going to a temple is about surrendering our ego. When we go to the Garbhagriha, I told you in the production video, when we go to the Garbhagriha, the idea is we surrender our ego to the deity of that temple. That is the whole idea. And you would know that when we go to the temple, what do we usually carry with us? Isn't it a coconut we usually carry to be offered to the deity of the temple? And what does the priest do when we go into the Garbhagriha? He breaks that coconut and he offers it to the deity of the temple. That coconut is basically a symbol for our head, which is the seat of our ego. So symbolically, we are offering our head in the form of our ego. The coconut represents our ego, our head. That I have offered my head to you. I have surrendered to you. That is the idea of offering a coconut in the garbhagriha of the temple. So, going to a temple and insisting on seeing the Devata there, it's not about our legal rights or human rights or gender rights. We are not going there to exert our rights. We are going there to surrender our rights, to surrender our ego, from which all rights, all entitlements, they stem. That is the whole idea of worship. I mean, going to court and obtaining permission to enter a temple. I mean, my right, my gender rights, my legal right in front of the deity to whom we are going to surrender our ego itself. Where is the surrender? Where is the samarpan? The very spirit of worship. So this we have to understand that humility, without humility, worship is meaningless. A contemporary poet like T.S. Eliot, he said, the only wisdom we can hope to acquire is the wisdom of humility. And humility is endless. Those were the words of T.S. Eliot. Anyway, now whatever had to be told about Sabarimala, I have already told you. Now, point is whether we can appreciate what is good in our culture and traditions, or are we so taken in by the, you know, modern ideas of progress, or our minds so colonized that we are not able to see anything of merit in our traditions and in our culture. Okay, even now, right now, I'm using the language of the colonizer. I'm speaking in English. But we should not allow our minds to be colonized. We may use the language of the colonizer, but our minds should not be colonized. We should know where we stand. Uh, should we see everything through the colonial lens, and too eager? Should we be too eager to turn ourselves into brown sahibs? We should not, because we should not forget that ours is the oldest surviving civilization in the world. Let me repeat. The oldest surviving civilization in the world probably goes back to 5,000 years or 6,000 years. When Buddha, 2,500 years ago, when he attained enlightenment and he went to Benares, I'm talking about 2,500 years ago, Benares was already a flourishing city which had a long history before that. So that is the kind of civilization we're talking about. And Benares is the oldest living city in the world. All those, Cairo, Baghdad, Athens, all those old civilization, whatever they were there, it's all gone. But Benares still, it has lived for 3,000, 4,000 years. I don't know. Go to Benares, see the vibrations there. Anyway, so we should know about our tradition, about our religion. And if we think that all the great things, whether these mythologies or whatever, they have been given only by the Munis and Rishis, and there's nothing in contemporary India to show a light to that. Think about Ramakrishna, think about Swami Vivekananda, Tagore, Sri Aurobindo. They are modern day rishis. The tradition is very much alive. So let us take what is good in that. And all these issues about gender equality and gender justice and all. Now let me do some plain talking about gender equality. Let me be plain. There is no gender equality in our society. That's the long and short of it. As long as we see those burqas in the streets, it's better that we keep silent about gender equality. As long as we see millions of Muslim women being deprived from entering into mosques, as long as we see that during Eid, the Muslim men are thronging the streets and doing their namaz on the streets, and women are conspicuous by their absence, let us not talk about gender equality and gender justice. Let us address those issues first. Okay, instead of just chasing a lone temple somewhere in the corner of India, let us address these issues which are right there in front of our eyes and which are blatant. That is one. And let us not pretend. Right now in Iran, women are killing themselves to go without a burqa. Right now. So we have to achieve gender equality. We have to achieve gender justice. And only, I'll tell you, only an evolved society really treats women as equal. We are not yet that evolved. Our society is not yet that evolved that we really consider women equal to us in our hearts and minds. We pay lip service. We pay lip service to gender equality and gender justice. But the fact of the matter is, we don't have gender equality and we don't have gender justice. We still have to work for it. The feminists have the job cut out for them. It's we have to strive for it. We have to work for it. We have to achieve gender equality. It's not there. It's not about a temple. It's right there in front of your eyes throughout the society. That kind of gender inequality. It's there in front of your eyes. Even in a developed country like say United States, you know what happened about a few years ago, Me Too movement and all, where women came out openly and they said the kind of sexual exploitation that they were facing. We are not talking about some medieval times. We are talking about contemporary society and we are talking about America. So let us not pretend. Let us not be hypocrites. So that is what I wanted to say. I had wanted to add a few more points. Let us treasure. Let us uh, pay respect to the traditions and culture and mythology, whatever has been handed down. They were great people. A civilization doesn't survive like that for such a long time, for thousands of years. If there was no good in it, there is something good in it. This is the unique This is the unique example of a civilization surviving for 5,000, 6,000 continuous years. Let us try to understand what is great about it. Thank you very much for watching.